Hello, everyone. Why are we excited today? Good reason, because this is the maiden voyage of our brand new Nine and Wine podcast with KTSM Television. And thanks to David Candelari and the guys over at KTSM for having us. We'll be publishing these podcast episodes every couple of weeks with a focus on all things food and wine, especially wine. And we'll be even sipping some from time to time as well. My name is Andy Watley, co-host with two of El Paso's most prolific wine experts, Chris Lane and Mike Hackett. They're both sommeliers. Both of them love wine as much as I do, and we prove that every day of our lives, I believe. Additionally, we're part of the team that bring you the amazing El Paso Winefest for over a dozen years now. As a matter of fact, from the very founding years, I know both these guys were involved from the very beginning, and that has become the premier food and wine event in the Southwest, and we're pretty proud of that. Chris, Mike, welcome.
Hey, Andy.
Thank you.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's to you as well. We did say it was dry January. We're not respecting that. That's okay. It doesn't mean we're suggesting that others follow our suit, but I mean, do what makes you happy.
There you go.
All right. So I think maybe it's time for us to,
that's right.
I think to get us in the right frame of mind, we should be probably having
Right. So I'll just talk about it a little bit if you'd like. I mean,
please. That's why we're here.
there are, everybody knows that Champagne has to come from the Champagne region of France, but there are other parts of the world that make wine exactly the same way that Champagne makes it with the double fermentation, and they are very respected. There's a part of Spain called Cava that makes some excellent champagne style. They call it méthode champenoise. But also in France, there's a level right below Champagne that's called Crémant. I believe there are 7 regions of France that are allowed to make it. So even this is highly regulated. This one happens to be from the Loire Valley. There is Burgundy, Alsace, Bordeaux, Provence, and I can't remember the other ones right now, but they're highly regulated as well. They make this bottle took as much work as a bottle of Champagne does. It just wasn't made in Champagne. Now there are other sparkling wines that aren't made in the same fashion. I don't want to say cheating, but they make it in a very much easier. Instead of doing it in the bottle, second fermentation, they'll do it in a tank, which is called the Crémant method. But no, it's not the Crémant method. It is the Charmant method, and so on. But Crémants, Cavas, and Champagnes, I believe, are all very excellent products, and this happens to be a Crémant de Loire.
Don't you think we should try this?
I do.
Well, first of all, cheers to January.
To January.
To January.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Delish.
Very good choice, by the way. You're good at this. Chris, directed at you first, and you're gonna have to think back a ways because you've been enjoying wine for a big chunk of your adult life, I'm sure. What was the first wine that made you think, okay, this is not just an ordinary wine. This is special?
It's a funny question. I know the exact moment. I'm sure everybody does, but it was so different for me because I grew up with it. And it just was a part of my life, spending every second summer in France. Since 4 years old, I had a job, running off to the cellar and picking out the right bottle that was requested. And it was so much fun for a 4-year-old. But I just grew up with it, and it just seemed like a natural part of life. And it wasn't any, oh, wow. But it was in America. It's right here in El Paso. And it was a bottle of Merlot, of all things. Just took my head off. And I was much older. I was in my probably mid-30s. When that happened, but I was like, oh my God, this is different.
So you didn't count the years when you had Boone's Farm or Annie Green Springs? did that era did you skip that era?
There was a dark part of my youth that involved those things.
I can't believe that I ever drank any of that crap. But I mean, anyway, this is from the silly question department. If your personality were a wine grape, what would you be and why?
I've gone back and forth on this thought, whether it be more Pinot, because you can be light and spicy and have crisp acidity to you, but you can also be full-bodied and strong when you need to be. So,
well, you're kind of a tall guy. I'm surprised
big wine.
you take the latter,
First thought was
big guy, big tall guy.
Cabernet.
Big one.
Yeah, big, bold. in your face.
I would agree with Mike. I think he's a Cabernet guy because you know what? Cabernet, they say, is just about the easiest grape to grow.
Yeah.
And he's just easy guy. You're definitely not Pinot. They say Pinot is the devil. So
No, I think I'd be a
Pinot is
Cabernet guy. I'm
very difficult, very difficult grape.
I think I'm a Cabernet personality as
Yeah.
well. So Chris, how would you explain your approach to food and wine pairing if you had to boil it down to a couple sentences?
Yeah, I think it's kind of obvious. It's almost a synonym, but it's not. It's matching. I know pairing and matching are almost the same word, but when I say matching, it's not just matching white and white and red, the old standby, but it's also matching like strength. You don't want like a hugely tannic wine with something delicate like oysters or things like that. You want, and then you also don't want like a Beaujolais with a leg of lamb. I mean, you don't want that leg of lamb with the garlic and everything. I mean, you don't want a light wine. So, heavy goes with heavy, light goes with light. White generally goes with white. Red generally goes with red. But it's matching it in texture, in color, and boldness, and just matching.
Good answer. Mike, from your perspective, what's the biggest myth about pairing that people should not forget or should
White
understand?
with white, red with red. Cabernet goes with dark chocolate. Those are. Everybody thinks of dark chocolate strawberries.
I don't know how
and
that got
Cabernet.
started.
I don't know where that came from.
I tell you what, 99% of people still think that Cabernet goes with chocolate.
And where does cheese enter into this? How do you
Cheese is a great.
Cheese.
I'm glad you asked because this is a huge fallacy that the whole world needs to learn. Cheese goes with white wine. It pairs perfectly with white wine, and it's paired. Even in France, 90% of the time it's with red. And the theory is that as you progress through the dinner, when you first get to somebody's house, you have champagne, and then, you'll have something light, with a salad, and then you have your meal, and it's normally always red. And then you bring out the cheese, and well, red's on the table. You still got open bottles of red on the table. So it's like there was never a specialty wine for cheese. They just left it with the red, and that's totally wrong.
So, Mike, do you pair by complementing flavors, or do you do it by contrast, or some other?
You can do both, depending on what you're having. So, buttery Chardonnay and popcorn. I mean, they complement each other, right? And they go great together.
I wonder do they do that at the movie theater?
Actually, I think you can get it.
You can get a Chardonnay and a box of popcorn.
Yeah, some of the new movie theaters. But on the other hand, I love a Burgundy and I recently had. My wife and I went out to dinner at the local restaurant. She had duck, I had scallops, and paired up with a Burgundy. Excellent, because it had that acidity in it to cut through the sauce that was on the scallops and the richness of the scallop. So you had a little contrast going on there, and it paired up. Naturally goes with duck breast.
So Chris, what key elements when you're deciding on pairing? Are you looking at acidity, fat, and the food spice, tannins? I mean, what is it?
So, I mean,
or all the above?
The way I look at it, yeah, it is. You got to look at everything. But I mean, there's 3 S's and an F in the way I think about it. So it's salt, it's spicy, it's sweet, and it's fat. So let's talk about salt. Salt goes with high acid. High acid is great with. I mean, they complement each other. You do not want tannin with salt. I mean, it'll just be overwhelming. Sweet, that's the easiest one. Sweet goes with sweet.
Sweet with sweet.
So dessert wines are sweet, and they go with dessert. What you don't want to do is, again, something opposite, dry. You don't want a dry wine with something sweet. The 3rd S is spicy. And so think of this. Your tongue's on fire, right? What's about the last thing you want to put on there is alcohol. Right, so you don't want high alcohol, and I wouldn't say sweet, but let's say off dry, like semi-sweet wines go really good with spicy, and then fat. I mean, everyone should know tannin loves fat, fat loves tannin. The one thing I would correct with that is that the amount of tannin in Cabernet is so high that it almost should go with lamb. I would back off the tannins for steak. I'd go with Malbec or Merlot or one of those. I think the tannin in Cabernet is more for something really fatty like lamb.
And Mike, what do you think the biggest mistake that people make when they're thinking about pairing? Where do they get off? Off page.
not looking at where the wine is coming from, first of all. Great way to pair wine. Like you're saying, lamb, Spanish wines, French wines. Places, what's grown there goes there. They go together. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
They actually really, it's uncanny, but they really do.
People are really scared of the wine list in a restaurant, especially when you get into European old world wines. France, Portugal, Spain. Just look at what you're ordering off the menu and pair it up that way. And if you got a question, ask the waiter, ask the owners. They put that wine list together for a reason.
Yeah.
It goes with what they're serving.
Sure. No, that makes total sense. Chris, so what local like El Paso Southwest flavors like spicy food pair surprisingly well with maybe some classic wines?
So as I mentioned a second ago, so off dry, which is a lot of people don't like that. I actually just a few years ago I wasn't that into them, but like a Vouvray or a Gewürztraminer are really, really good. Gewürztraminer goes really good.
I can't even pronounce that.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man.
But it's tough to find a good Gewürztraminer somewhere. If you don't know what they are, right?
They're
I
not
can drink
on
it,
a lot
I
of
just
menus.
can't pronounce it.
They're really good. They're actually it's my partner's favorite wine. She just loves it. But you know what? Probably one of my favorites because you also want low alcohol. So like some of the German Rieslings that are a little off dry, but they're only like 8% alcohol. So they're perfect because they fit both categories. They're really low alcohol and they're off dry. So they're absolutely, so I would probably go with the German Riesling.
Cool. And Mike, I'm sorry, you were about to say?
I green chilies, enchiladas, man, I'm sorry. Sometimes good cold beer. It's just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Get a regional beer. Get something local.
Mike brings up a good point. Sommeliers aren't just wine. It's beer. It's ciders. It's
cocktails.
On a future podcast, I'd like to do a whole thing on beer. Let's make a plan on doing that. So, is there any seasonality pairing that makes sense ever?
I don't know about seasonality because you're really getting into the type of foods you're eating, right? Oktoberfest, I lean towards German beers because you're looking at bratwurst and sausage and things like that, again, with beer, but you go towards the Rieslings and the Gewürztraminers. Christmas time, Pinots with your turkey or Chardonnay.
So best pairing when you have zero time, you want to look your best, you're having some important people over that like wine, and you really want it to be a great experience for them. What do you do?
Bubbles. It's the easiest one. Bubbles go with everything. When you don't know what to pair with, you really don't know what to pair with, bubbles. You don't know, it's almost a little, it's a presumptuous in a way to bring a wine to a dinner that you don't know what's for dinner. And so you might be bringing a wine that totally doesn't go with that dinner. So
that was actually going to be my next question. I was going to say, what's a great wine to bring to a dinner party when you don't even know what the menu is? What do you do? Take two.
Bubbles.
Bring bubbles.
You bring bubbles. You always bring, you know what? Just always bring bubbles. Because they go with everything. You can pop them open, bring them cold too, by the way. Bring them so that you could just, if the host wants you to, you can pop them open right there and have them as a reception drink. You can have them with the cheese, as I mentioned earlier, white wine, and bubbles. Bubbles go great with cheese. It can do anything. It's a Swiss Army knife.
Now here's a wild card. What's the most unconventional pairing that you stand by, even if the wine snobs judge? Is that
unconventional? Chardonnay and popcorn.
You already said that.
I already threw that one out there.
Well, I'm not sure what the rating is on this podcast, but I'd say port and showers. All the floral, the shampoo and the soap and the conditioners go great. The smells are in your nose. So my go-to shower wine is port.
There you go. If you could create a custom dish specifically to match one bottle, what would it be? That one, both of you answer that.
I'm looking for truffles and truffle pasta with a great Barolo. About a 2012 Barolo.
Okay.
Did it the other night. It was amazing.
So this is a real life experience.
Yeah, in Piedmont, they actually, for the whole month of October, which none of us are ever allowed to go to, is the Truffle Festival, which it would be a dream to go to. But there's a really neat tradition in a town in France called Cahors. It was a Roman town. It's the Lot River almost does it like about a 340. It almost touches itself, so it made it a natural moat. But this is the birthplace of Malbec in France. And I mean, a lot of people don't realize that Malbec comes from France, but it does. At the end of the winter season, when, in winter you cook heavy things, pot-au-feu and coq au vin and all those heavy dishes that just cook all day long to warm up the house, right? Well, as spring comes, you don't want to have that type of stuff. So what they do, it's called a cassolette, and it's mainly like big white northern beans, kind of.
I love cassolette.
Yeah, and you put in, this is the funny part, you know what meat goes in cassolette? Whatever you have left over from winter. Whatever you have left, it could be sausage, it could be duck, it could be whatever you have. You can make a cassolette out of anything and everything all together, and it perfectly.
I want to come to your house, by the way, and have a cassolette, and you'll get to pick the wine too.
Well, the point is that being the birthplace of Malbec, what do you think goes perfectly with cassolette?
Now, I thought when you said that it was really more in the category of kind of like my big fat Greek wedding, where every word's derivative was in Greece.
Right. It's Greek.
That's what you're French, and so I know that. Of course, Malbec comes from France.
Of course.
Doesn't everything come from France? So what?
But cassolette and Malbec are an amazing thing.
Mike, what pairing trends are you loving, and what do you think should retire permanently, if anything?
I don't see anything retiring permanently. And pairing trends, even. I don't know about trends. I think people are getting out of the box of the white with white and red with red. I'm glad to see that. Expanding their horizons and pairing things up a little bit differently. I have as well. I mean, blushes and things like that. I stayed away from rosés and things like that because all I could think of was white Zinfandel when I see a rosé. But, nothing better than a glass of rosé on the porch on a hot summer afternoon.
I agree. I agree.
No doubt. I would turn that question a little bit to say more. I just hope people pair more. It's the act of pairing instead of just throwing things together.
I think people
think about it.
Thinking too much about what you drink on the back porch isn't what you want to drink with dinner necessarily. And to actually think about pairing their wines is the exciting part.
Are there any good websites that have advice on pairing?
I don't know. I've never looked. I'm sure there are.
I know you don't need to because you both are experts.
I'm sure there are, though. There have to be.
Yeah, there must be. Be. So what's the ultimate wow pairing for someone new to wine?
Mine's expensive, super expensive, but it blew my head off because I never would have thought they went together.
Screaming Eagle.
Foie gras and Sauternes. I mean, they're both expensive, but I mean, who would think that a super sweet wine and a super heavy foie gras would go together, and they just melt together. It's the I forget what the term is, but 2 + 2 = 5.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And if you could give our audience one rule to transform their next meal and bottle, do you have any advice?
Probably the best thing to do is ask the maitre d', ask the steward, the wine steward, and give them your price point. Don't be afraid to tell them that $200 a bottle is too much.
Yeah.
Middle of the list, you're going to find the best values. You're going to find the best pairing, but ask the restaurateur what's my best pairing, and don't be afraid to tell them what your price point is.
Sure. And Chris, how would you?
Same thing in a wine store.
Yeah, I was going to take it and flip it to the wine store.
Yeah.
Go to wine stores and ask people, you know what, I want to make this and that. What do you think would go with that? And make sure you don't buy one bottle. Make sure you buy 2 or 3, maybe 4 bottles of it, because I'll tell you what, if it works, your guests are going to want more.
Hey, next time we do this, why don't we do one on your recommendations for box wine?
By the way, France.
Is there a whole conversation?
France makes some great box
I haven't
wines.
had any.
America hasn't really gotten into the groove, but it's an excellent container because the bag collapses and no oxygen goes in, so it's a much better container than a bottle.
I was joking with that, but I think there probably is a discussion to be had there.
I'm working with a friend in Odessa that wants to put on a wine fest and only boxed wines.
Box wines only?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, hey, this is the Nine and Wine very first podcast. We appreciate Mike Hackett, Chris Lane, sommeliers for being here today. We'll do this again in a couple of weeks with a whole new topic. Maybe we will talk about some box wines at that time to say, are there good?
Got to do some homework on that. I was going to say, I haven't seen a lot of good box wines on the wine stores around here.
They just haven't made it here.
They just don't market well.
I think it's also the volume of wine in France. They're not going to put first growth Bordeaux into a box. Of course they're not. But things that the three of us would consider are pretty decent wines, you can find in boxes a lot of times.
Very cool. Well, thanks to both of you for being here. This is the 9 and Wine podcast from KTSM TV, and we're excited to have you watch us and hopefully join us again and share this on your social media with your friends. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Cheers.